Ambassador Karina's pheromones flood the conference room as her mating cycle begins at the worst possible moment. The Elysian diplomat writhes in her seat, her lilac skin flushing a deep purple as the biological imperative takes hold. Across the table, Sean Jackson, Earth's chief negotiator, watches in horror as the carefully orchestrated summit unravels before his eyes. "Ambassador, are you all right?" Sean asks, his voice barely audible over the growing commotion. Karina's eyes, normally a serene silver, now glow with an intense primal energy. I need to leave," she gasps, her translator struggling to keep up with her ragged breaths. "This can't be happening now. Not here." The Prilorian delegation, a group of hulking reptilian warriors, rise from their seats. Their scales bristle, and their forked tongues flick the air, tasting the potent cocktail of alien pheromones. "What trickery is this?" General Zaxthor bellows, his clawed hand slamming onto the polished oak table. "You dare to bring a rutting female to these talks? Is this how Earth conducts diplomacy?" Sean's mind races. The summit, Earth's last hope for peace with the militaristic Prilorian Empire, teeters on the brink of collapse. He steps forward, positioning himself between Karina and the agitated aliens. "General, I assure you this is not a deliberate act," Sean says, struggling to maintain his composure. "Ambassador Karina is experiencing an unexpected biological event. We will address this immediately." As Sean speaks, his aide whispers urgently in his ear. The news chills him to the bone. Karina has entered her species' mating cycle, a process that occurs every 7 Earth years. Without a compatible mate within 48 hours, she faces potentially fatal consequences. Outside the conference center, the situation deteriorates further. Anti-alien protesters, their angry chants audible even through the building's thick walls, gather in growing numbers. News of the disruption inside spreads like wildfire, fueling their fervor. Sean's secure comm unit buzzes. It's his superiors at the State Department. Their message is clear. Salvage the peace talks at all costs. The unspoken implication hangs heavy in the air, even if it means sacrificing Karina. As chaos engulfs the room, a chilling thought strikes Sean. Could this be sabotage? The timing is too perfect. The stakes too high for this to be a mere coincidence. He recalls rumors of a shadowy coalition, both human and alien, opposed to interspecies cooperation. With time running out, Sean faces an impossible choice. Find Karina a compatible Elysian mate in a city of millions. Use hormone suppressants, risking accusations of assault on Elysian sovereignty. Or consider the unthinkable, offering himself as a potential match. The fate of Earth-Prilorian relations hangs by a thread. Karina's life ticks away with each passing second. And somewhere in the shadows, unseen forces move their pieces on a cosmic chessboard, their endgame yet to be revealed. Sean takes a deep breath, straightens his tie, and steps back into the fray. The next 48 hours will determine the future of intergalactic diplomacy and test the limits of human ingenuity in the face of an unprecedented crisis. Sean's mind raced as he surveyed the chaotic conference room. He knew he had to act fast to salvage both the peace talks and Karina's life. With a deep breath, he raised his voice above the commotion. "Ladies and gentlemen, please, we need to address this situation calmly and rationally." He turned to General Zaxthor, whose scales were still filled with agitation. "General, I propose we adjourn to a private meeting room to discuss this matter in detail. I assure you there's an explanation for what's happening." The Prilorian general's eyes narrowed, but he nodded curtly. "Very well, human, but this had better be good." Sean quickly ushered key representatives from each delegation into a smaller, more secure room adjacent to the main conference hall. As the door closed behind them, shutting out the noise of the protesters outside, Sean felt the weight of countless lives resting on his next words. "I want to be completely transparent with you all," Sean began, his voice steady despite the tension in the air. "Ambassador Karina is experiencing an unexpected biological event known as the Elysian mating cycle. It occurs every 7 Earth years, and if left unaddressed, can have severe consequences for her health." General Kraz, who had replaced Zaxthor as the Prilorian representative in this smaller gathering, leaned forward, his forked tongue flicking out to taste the air. "And you expect us to believe this conveniently timed affliction is not some form of manipulation? Sean met the general's gaze unflinchingly. I understand your suspicion, General, but I assure you this is a genuine medical emergency. We had no way of predicting or preventing it. As Sean spoke, he noticed Karina in the corner of the room, her lilac skin now a deep pulsating violet. She was visibly struggling to maintain her composure, her silver eyes darting around the room as if searching for an escape. I propose a temporary recess of the peace talks, Sean continued, forcing himself to focus on the task at hand. 48 hours to allow us time to address Ambassador Karina's condition and ensure she receives proper care. This aligns with the critical window for her cycle. General Kraz's tail lashed back and forth, a clear sign of his agitation. And what guarantee do we have that this is not simply a ploy to buy time or gain some advantage in the negotiations? Sean leaned forward, his voice low and intense. General, I give you my word as Earth's chief negotiator that this is not a trick. More than that, I propose that we reconvene in 24 hours, at which time I will present a detailed plan for resolving this issue. If you're not satisfied with our proposed solution, you'll be free to walk away from the talks entirely. The room fell silent as the Prylorian general considered Sean's words. After what felt like an eternity, Kraz nodded slowly. Very well, human. You have 24 hours. But be warned, if we detect even a hint of deception, the consequences will be severe. With the immediate diplomatic crisis temporarily averted, Sean wasted no time in setting his plan into motion. He quickly contacted Dr. Elena Reeves, Earth's foremost xenobiologist, requesting her immediate presence at the conference center. As he waited for Dr. Reeves to arrive, Sean's secure comm unit buzzed again. It was Marcus Chen, his friend and fellow diplomat. Sean, we need to talk. Marcus's voice was urgent. I've uncovered something big. There's a group called Terran Purity, humans and aliens working together to sabotage interspecies cooperation. I think they might be behind what's happening with Karina. Sean felt a chill run down his spine. Are you sure about this, Marcus? Not 100%, but the evidence is mounting. I need time to gather more concrete proof. Do it, Sean said, his mind already racing with the implications. But be careful. If this group is as dangerous as you say, they won't hesitate to silence anyone who gets too close to the truth. As Sean ended the call, Dr. Reeves entered the room, her face grave as she examined Karina. After a thorough checkup, she pulled Sean aside. It's as we feared, she said in a low voice. Hormone suppressants would be far too dangerous in her current state. But there might be another option. Recent research suggests a possibility of cross-species compatibility between humans and Elysians. Sean's eyebrows shot up. Are you saying what I think you're saying? Dr. Reeves nodded. It's never been tested in practice, but given the urgency of the situation, it might be our best shot. As Sean processed this information, he became acutely aware of Karina's presence across the room. Their eyes met, and he felt a surge of emotion that caught him off guard. The intensity of the past few hours had forged a connection between them that went beyond mere diplomatic cooperation. Pushing aside his personal feelings, Sean focused on the task at hand. He quickly assigned Marcus to lead a team investigating the Terran Purity group, while he worked with Dr. Reeves to explore the possibility of human-Elysian compatibility. As a precaution, he also reached out to the Elysian homeworld, requesting emergency transport of a compatible mate, though he knew the chances of a timely arrival were slim. As the hours ticked by, Sean found himself constantly checking on Karina, whose condition seemed to worsen with each passing moment. The weight of responsibility pressed down on him, not just for the success of the peace talks, but for Karina's very survival. Just as Sean was preparing to meet with Dr. Reeves again, a young Prylorian approached him cautiously. The alien introduced himself as Lieutenant Vex, a junior member of the Prylorian delegation. I have information you might find valuable, Vex whispered, his eyes darting nervously around the room. About the Empire's true intentions in these talks. But we can't speak here. Meet me in the East Wing in 1 hour. As Vex slipped away, Sean felt a mix of hope and apprehension. Could this be the break they needed, or was it another layer of deception in an already complex web of intrigue? With the 24-hour deadline looming, Sean knew he had to make some difficult decisions, The fate of interstellar peace hung in the balance, as did Karina's life. As he prepared to present his plan to the Prilorian delegation, Sean steeled himself for what promised to be the most challenging diplomatic maneuver of his career. As Sean prepared to meet with Dr. Reeves again, his mind raced with the implications of Lieutenant Vex's cryptic message. The possibility of uncovering the Prilorian Empire's true intentions both excited and unnerved him. However, before he could dwell on it further, Marcus Chen burst into the room, his face flushed with excitement. "Sean, we've got something big," Marcus said, his voice barely above a whisper. He quickly closed the door behind him and approached Sean, holding out a data pad. "Remember that group I mentioned earlier? Terran Purity? We found concrete evidence linking them to Karina's condition." Sean's eyes widened as he scanned the information on the screen. A hidden laboratory? Synthesized compounds? This is incredible, Marcus. How did you find this? Marcus grinned despite the gravity of the situation. "Let's just say I have some very talented people on my team. We've uncovered a facility where Terran Purity operatives were working on a compound designed to trigger Elysian mating cycles prematurely. It's not a coincidence, Sean. They targeted Karina specifically to sabotage the peace talks." As the realization sank in, Sean felt a mix of anger and relief. His suspicions had been correct, but the confirmation of such a calculated attack on Karina and the peace process was chilling. Before Sean could respond, Dr. Reeves entered the room, her face a mix of excitement and apprehension. "Sean, I have news about the human Elysian compatibility research." Sean motioned for her to continue, his heart racing. "We've made a breakthrough," Dr. Reeves said, her voice tense with the weight of her discovery. "Certain genetic markers in human DNA are surprisingly similar to those found in Elysians. This could potentially allow for successful cross-species mating." Sean's mind reeled at the implications. "Are you saying what I think you're saying, Doctor?" Dr. Reeves nodded slowly. "Yes, but I must stress that this is uncharted territory. The process is not without risks, and there could be unforeseen consequences for both parties involved." With this new information in hand, Sean knew he had to act quickly. He called for an emergency meeting with General Kraz and the Earth diplomatic team. As they gathered in the secure conference room, Sean could feel the tension in the air. "General Kraz, members of the diplomatic corps, I have critical information to share," Sean began, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. He presented the evidence of Terran Purity's involvement, detailing their role in Karina's sudden mating cycle. General Kraz's scales bristled as he absorbed the information. "This changes things," he growled, his forked tongue flicking out in agitation. "You have proven your honesty, human. The Empire withdraws its accusations of Elysian deception." Seizing the moment, Sean pressed further. "In light of this new evidence, I respectfully request an extension of the negotiation deadline by an additional 48 hours. After a tense moment of consideration, General Kraz nodded his agreement. With diplomatic tensions temporarily eased, Sean turned his attention to Karina's deteriorating condition. In a private meeting with Dr. Reeves, Sean made his decision. "Doctor, if no compatible Elysian mate can reach Earth in time, I volunteer myself as a potential match for Karina." Dr. Reeves's eyes widened. "Sean, are you sure? The risks—" "I understand the risks," Sean interrupted, his voice firm. "But we're out of options. Karina's life is at stake, not to mention the future of interspecies relations. I have to try." With a heavy heart, Sean approached Karina, who was resting in a secluded medical bay. Her lilac skin had taken on a worrying pallor, and her silver eyes were glassy with fever. "Karina," Sean said softly, taking her hand, "I have a proposal, but I need you to understand the full implications." As Sean explained the situation and his offer, Karina's eyes filled with a mix of emotions, fear, gratitude, and something else Sean couldn't quite identify. "You would do this for me?" Karina asked, her voice weak but filled with wonder. Sean nodded, squeezing her hand gently. "For you, for peace, for the future of our species, but only if you're willing." Karina closed her eyes, taking a deep breath. When she opened them again, they shone with perseverance. "I accept, Sean. Whatever the consequences, we face them together." As Dr. Reeves and her team prepared for the unprecedented procedure, Sean received an urgent message from Lieutenant Vex. They met in a deserted corridor, Vex's scales quivering with nervous energy. "Listen carefully, human," Vex whispered. "There's a faction within our empire, led by Admiral Zorn. They've been supporting Terran purity, trying to sabotage these talks and provoke war. It's all about profit for them. War means credits for certain industries." Sean's mind raced with the implications of this new information. He quickly relayed instructions to Marcus to investigate Admiral Zorn's connections to Terran purity, hoping to use this knowledge to their advantage in the ongoing negotiations. As Sean and Karina were moved to a secure medical facility for the procedure, news of the potential cross-species mating leaked to the public. Outside, the roar of protesters grew louder, their angry chants penetrating even the thick walls of the facility. In the sterile confines of the medical bay, Sean and Karina exchanged a look of nervous anticipation as Dr. Reeves initiated the complex procedure. As the process began, Sean felt an intense connection forming between him and Karina, their minds and bodies synchronizing in ways he had never imagined possible. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the facility. Security alerts flashed on nearby screens, indicating an attack by Terran purity extremists, aided by Admiral Zorn's Prylorian allies. "We can't stop now," Dr. Reeves shouted over the chaos. "If we interrupt the procedure, we risk losing them both." As the sounds of battle echoed through the corridors, Sean gripped Karina's hand tightly, their bodies pulsing with an otherworldly energy. Whatever came next, they would face it together, as would the future of human-alien relations. As Sean and Karina's bodies pulsed with otherworldly energy, the facility's alarms suddenly blared to life, shattering the intimate moment. Dr. Reeves's eyes widened in panic. "We need to abort," she shouted over the din, frantically disconnecting the medical equipment. "The procedure was partially successful, but we have to evacuate now." Sean's head spun as he tried to process the abrupt shift from intense connection to imminent danger. He helped Karina sit up, noticing her lilac skin had regained some of its healthy glow. Their eyes met, a spark of something new and profound passing between them. The door burst open, revealing Security Chief Michael Torres, his face grim. "Terran purity extremists and Zorn's Prylorian allies have breached the outer perimeter. We need to get you to the secure bunker beneath the facility." As Sean stood, he felt a rush of strength course through his body. His senses sharpened, the world around him coming into hyper-focus. He steadied Karina as she rose, noticing her movements were more fluid and graceful than before. "This way," Torres ordered, leading them into the corridor. The group moved swiftly through the winding hallways, the sounds of combat echoing in the distance. As they rounded a corner, they encountered a trio of armed intruders. Without thinking, Sean launched himself forward with inhuman speed, disarming the first attacker with a precision he'd never possessed before. Karina moved in perfect sync with him, her agility allowing her to dodge a plasma blast and incapacitate the second intruder. As the third raised his weapon, Sean heard Karina's voice in his mind. "Duck!" He dropped instinctively, the energy bolt sailing harmlessly overhead. Dr. Reeves gaped at them. "The partial bonding, it's enhanced your abilities and created a telepathic link." They pressed on, Sean and Karina working in tandem to clear their path. As they approached a communication terminal, they spotted a familiar face. "Marcus!" Sean called out. Marcus Chen rushed over, clutching a data chip. "Sean, I've got it. Concrete evidence linking Admiral Zorn to Terran purity. We need to get this to General Kraz." Sean nodded, quickly establishing a connection with the Prylorian leader. "General, we're under attack. Terran purity and Zorn's forces have breached the facility. We have proof of Zorn's involvement." Kraz's scaled face contorted with anger. "This treachery will not stand. I'm dispatching loyalist forces to your aid, but it will take time for them to arrive. Hold out as long as you can." As they continued their descent, they encountered Lieutenant Vex slumped against a wall, green blood oozing from a wound in his side. "We can't leave him," Sean insisted, hoisting the injured Prylorian onto his shoulders with newfound strength. Their progress slowed, and the sounds of pursuit grew closer. As they neared the bunker entrance, a group of heavily armed humans blocked their path. A tall, scarred man stepped forward. "Victor Dax," he announced, his voice dripping with contempt. "Your little interspecies experiment ends here. But don't worry, we have special plans for you too." He gestured at Sean and Karina. "Your unique physiology will be the key to our ultimate weapon, one capable of wiping out humans and aliens alike." Sean felt Karina's fear and dedication through their link. They exchanged a glance, an unspoken plan forming between them. In perfect synchronization, they sprang into action. Sean charged forward, using his enhanced strength to bowl through the first line of attackers. Karina followed, her movements fluid and precise as she disarmed two more. Their minds worked as one, anticipating each other's moves and covering blind spots. But Dax's forces were numerous and well-equipped. Despite their valiant efforts, Sean and the others found themselves backed into a corner, outgunned and running out of options. Just as hope seemed lost, a new voice cut through the chaos. "Victor, stand down!" A woman who looked strikingly similar to Dr. Elena Reeves strode into view, flanked by a squad of security personnel. "Amanda," Elena gasped. "Hello, sister," Amanda Reeves replied, her eyes fixed on Dax. "Your crusade ends here, Victor. I've seen the truth. This path leads only to destruction." Confusion rippled through Dax's forces, giving Sean and his allies the opening they needed. In the ensuing firefight, Marcus clutched the precious data chip, frantically working to transmit its contents to a secure server as energy blasts flew overhead. "The chip's damaged," he shouted. "I don't know if the full transmission will complete in time." Sean and Karina moved as one, their enhanced abilities allowing them to provide cover for Marcus. As they fought, their mental link deepened, flooding each other's minds with flashes of memory and cultural insights. Sean glimpsed soaring crystal spires on Karina's homeworld, felt the weight of centuries of Elysian tradition. Karina experienced the bustling streets of Earth's megacities, tasted the rich diversity of human cultures. Their bond grew stronger with each passing moment, their actions becoming more fluid and coordinated. They began to realize that their union represented something far greater than just a diplomatic solution. It was a bridge between two species, a glimpse of a future where humans and aliens could truly understand one another. As the battle raged on, the outcome hanging in the balance, Sean and Karina stood united. Their newfound connection not only gave them the strength to fight, but hinted at a profound transformation in interspecies relations. With General Kraz's forces still en route and the transmission of the crucial evidence uncertain, they knew they had to hold out just a little longer. The fate of the peace talks, and perhaps the future of the galaxy, rested on their shoulders. Sean and Karina exchanged a determined look, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead together. The chaos of battle surrounded them, but Sean and Karina moved as one, their newfound connection guiding their every action. As they fended off another wave of attackers, Sean felt a surge of energy course through his body, his movements becoming faster and more precise with each passing moment. "This way!" Dr. Amanda Reeves shouted, gesturing towards a hidden panel in the wall. She quickly inputted a code, revealing a narrow passage behind it. "These maintenance tunnels should lead us to safety." The group hurried into the dimly lit corridor, the sounds of combat fading behind them. Sean and Karina took point, their heightened senses allowing them to navigate the darkness with ease. Sean marveled at how naturally they worked together, anticipating each other's movements without a word spoken between them. As they pressed forward, Sean's enhanced hearing picked up the faint sound of footsteps ahead. He raised a hand, signaling the others to stop. In his mind, he felt Karina's silent acknowledgement of the potential threat. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows. Sean reacted instinctively, launching himself at the intruder with inhuman speed. They collided, tumbling to the ground in a tangle of limbs. "Wait!" Dr. Elena Reeves called out. "That's Dr. Elias Vorn, a Terran purity scientist." Sean grappled with Vorn, noticing the man's augmented strength. Despite this, Sean found himself able to match the scientist's power, his own enhanced abilities leveling the playing field. "The data!" Vorn gasped, clutching a small device to his chest. "I can't let you have it." Understanding the importance of what Vorn carried, Sean redoubled his efforts. He could feel Karina's presence in his mind, her support giving him an extra burst of strength. With a final surge, Sean wrenched the device from Vorn's grasp. As Sean subdued Vorn, Karina's attention snapped to Lieutenant Vex, who had collapsed against the wall, his wound reopening. Without hesitation, she knelt beside him, her hands hovering over his injury. To everyone's amazement, a soft glow emanated from her palms, and Vex's breathing steadied. Dr. Elena Reeves rushed to assist, her eyes wide with wonder. "Karina, how did you do that?" I'm not sure," Karina replied, her voice tinged with awe. "I just felt I could help." Their moment of respite was short-lived, as Marcus's voice cut through the air. "The transmission's failing. The tunnels are interfering with the signal." Sean watched as Marcus frantically worked with a tangle of wires and salvaged equipment, attempting to boost the signal strength. The fate of their mission hung in the balance, the evidence against Admiral Zorn trapped in digital limbo. A crackle of static burst from Torres' communicator. "This is Torres. We're initiating the diversion now. Get to the extraction point as fast as you can." The group pressed on, the narrow passageways seeming to close in around them. Sean and Karina led the way, their enhanced senses allowing them to avoid hidden traps and choose the safest route. As they navigated the labyrinth, Sean found himself experiencing flashes of Karina's memories, glimpses of her homeworld, the weight of her people's expectations, the loneliness of her diplomatic mission. Their progress came to an abrupt halt as they reached a massive blast door. The team's hopes fell as they realized the conventional tools at their disposal were useless against the advanced locking mechanism. "We need to find another way," Dr. Amanda Reeves said, her voice tight with urgency. Sean looked at Karina, an unspoken understanding passing between them. Without a word, they stepped forward, placing their hands on the door's smooth surface. As they concentrated, Sean felt a surge of energy flow through him, mingling with Karina's own power. The air around them began to shimmer, the door's energy field becoming visible to the naked eye. With great effort, Sean and Karina manipulated the field, creating a ripple in its structure. Slowly, painstakingly, a gap formed in the seemingly impenetrable barrier. "Hurry!" Sean gasped, the strain evident in his voice. "We can't hold it for long." The team rushed through the opening, Sean and Karina following last as the energy field snapped back into place behind them. Both stumbled, drained from the unprecedented feat of cooperation. As they caught their breath, Sean realized they had emerged into a vast hangar bay. His eyes were immediately drawn to a sleek, otherworldly vessel unlike anything he had ever seen. "The XS-1 Phantom," Dr. Elena Reeves breathed. "A prototype stealth ship." Sean's mind raced, quickly assessing their options. "That's our ticket out of here," he decided, already moving towards the ship. Before they could reach it, the hangar doors burst open, revealing Victor Dax and a squad of heavily armed Terran Purity operatives. "Secure the hybrids!" Dax shouted, his eyes fixed on Sean and Karina. "We need them alive." Sean's heart pounded as he realized the gravity of their situation. They were cornered, outgunned, and now the target of a determined enemy. As energy blasts filled the air around them, Sean knew they had only one chance for survival. "Dr. Reeves, with me and Karina," he called out. "We'll prep the ship. Everyone else, cover us." As they sprinted towards the Phantom, Sean felt Karina's presence in his mind grow stronger. Together, they approached the ship's unfamiliar controls, their shared consciousness allowing them to intuitively understand the complex hybrid technology. The sounds of battle raged behind them as Sean and Karina worked in perfect synchronization, bringing the Phantom systems online. As the engines roared to life, Sean was hit by a wave of Karina's memories, the loneliness of her diplomatic training, the pressure of representing her entire species, and now a growing warmth and connection she had never expected to find with a human. A warning klaxon blared through the hangar, and Sean looked up to see the massive bay doors beginning to close. Their window of opportunity was rapidly shrinking. "Everyone, get on board now," Sean shouted, his hands flying over the controls as he prepared for takeoff. As the team scrambled onto the ship, energy blasts from Dax's forces intensified. The hangar doors inched closer together, their escape route disappearing by the second. With Karina at his side, Sean gripped the Phantom's controls. Their mission, their lives, and the future of human-alien relations All depended on what happened in the next few moments. As the ship lifted off the hangar floor, Sean steered it towards the narrowing gap, acutely aware that their desperate bid for freedom was only the beginning of an even greater challenge. The Phantom's engines thrummed with power as Sean guided it towards the rapidly closing hangar doors. Karina's presence in his mind steadied him, their shared focus honed to a razor's edge. "Hold on!" Sean shouted as he pushed the ship to its limits. The sleek vessel accelerated, metal screeching against metal as they squeezed through the narrowing gap. A violent shudder ran through the craft, and alarms blared as part of the outer hull was torn away. But they were through. The vast expanse of sky opened up before them, a momentary sense of triumph coursing through the crew. That elation was short-lived. The ship's sensors lit up, revealing multiple craft in hot pursuit. Sean's enhanced vision picked out the mix of Terran purity and rogue Prylorian vessels closing in fast. "We need options," Dr. Elena Reeves said, her fingers flying over the ship's console. "Wait, there's something here. The Phantom has an experimental cloaking device." Sean and Karina exchanged a quick glance, their mental link conveying volumes in an instant. "Untested tech," Sean muttered. "It's risky, but—" "It's our best shot," Karina finished. With a nod, Sean activated the cloaking system. The ship shimmered, becoming invisible to both the naked eye and sensors. But immediately the engines strained, the pitch of their hum rising ominously. As they climbed through Earth's atmosphere, a crackling transmission cut through the tension. Marcus Chen's voice, distorted but unmistakable, filled the cockpit. "Data transmitted successfully," he reported. "But intercepted by Terran purity. You need to move fast." Sean gritted his teeth, pushing the ship harder. The cloaking device fluctuated, creating brief sensor echoes that their pursuers latched onto like bloodhounds. "Sean?" Karina's voice was strained. "We need to stabilize the cloak manually." Without a word, they fell into sync. Their minds merged deeper than ever before, adjusting the cloaking field with microscopic precision. As they worked, vivid flashes of memory cascaded between them. Sean saw crystal spires on an alien world, felt the weight of an entire species' hopes on young shoulders. Karina experienced the bustle of Earth's cities, the warmth of a human family, the thrill of piloting an aircraft for the first time. Their reverie was broken as they broke free of Earth's atmosphere. A massive shape loomed ahead, a Prylorian battlecruiser. For a heart-stopping moment, Sean thought they'd flown straight into enemy hands. Then recognition dawned. "It's General Kraz's flagship," Dr. Reeves confirmed, relief evident in her voice. That relief was short-lived. New signals appeared on their sensors. Admiral Zorn's forces, converging rapidly on their position. Sean made a split-second decision. "We're heading for Kraz's ship," he announced, altering their course. As if on cue, the cloaking device failed completely. Alarms blared as both Kraz's ship and Zorn's forces powered up their weapons. "We need to talk to them," Karina said urgently. "All of them." Sean nodded, activating the Phantom's communication array. He took a deep breath, feeling Karina's steady presence beside him, and began to speak. "This is Sean Avery aboard the XS-1 Phantom," he broadcast. "We have evidence of a conspiracy that threatens both humans and Prylorians. General Kraz, Admiral Zorn, representatives of Terran purity. What happens in the next few minutes will shape the future of our species." Karina leaned in, her voice joining Sean's. "We stand on the brink of conflict, but also of unprecedented cooperation. The choice is ours to make." As they spoke, laying out the evidence and appealing for peace, Sean felt a sharp pain lance through his head. Beside him, Karina gasped, her face contorted in discomfort. Dr. Reeves rushed to their side, her expression grim as she checked their vital signs. "Your hybrid physiology is destabilizing," she warned. "We need to get you medical attention immediately." Through the cockpit window, Sean saw the massive form of Kraz's battlecruiser shift. A shimmering field extended from the larger ship, enveloping the Phantom in a protective bubble. Zorn's forces held their fire, creating a tense standoff. As they maneuvered towards the battlecruiser's docking bay, Sean felt his connection with Karina flicker and surge. Strange energies coursed through his body, and he could see an otherworldly glow emanating from Karina's skin. They touched down in the docking bay, the Phantom systems powering down. Sean stood on shaky legs, supporting Karina as they made their way to the airlock. Dr. Reeves followed close behind, her worried gaze flicking between them and the approaching Prilorian medical team. As the airlock cycled open, Sean locked eyes with Karina. In that moment, despite the pain and uncertainty, he felt a profound sense of connection. Whatever came next, they would face it together. The door slid open, revealing the interior of Kraz's ship. Sean took a steadying breath, knowing that the next few hours would determine not just their fate, but the future of human-alien relations. With Karina at his side, he stepped forward to meet whatever challenges lay ahead. The doors slid open, revealing the interior of Kraz's ship. Sean took a steadying breath, knowing that the next few hours would determine not just their fate, but the future of human-alien relations. With Karina at his side, he stepped forward to meet whatever challenges lay ahead. As soon as they crossed the threshold, a team of Prilorian medical staff swarmed around them. Dr. Elena Reeves quickly briefed the alien medics on Sean and Karina's condition as they were whisked away to the battlecruiser's advanced medical bay. The stark, gleaming facility was a far cry from anything Sean had seen on Earth. Holographic displays flickered with vital signs and unfamiliar energy readings. At the center of the controlled chaos stood Dr. Zylara, a female Prilorian with piercing silver eyes and iridescent scales along her temples. "Get them on the biostabilization platforms," Dr. Zylara ordered, her voice carrying a melodic undertone. "We need to contain that energy output before it damages the ship's systems." Sean felt himself being lifted onto a smooth, contoured surface. The material beneath him pulsed with a soft blue light, adapting to the contours of his body. Beside him, Karina was placed on a similar platform. As the medical team worked, Sean's enhanced senses picked up snippets of urgent conversation. "Energy levels are off the charts," one Prilorian technician reported. "Cellular degradation accelerating," another added. Dr. Zalara leaned over Sean, her expression a mix of concern and fascination. "Can you hear me?" she asked, her voice cutting through the haze of pain clouding his mind. Sean managed a weak nod. "What's happening to us?" he rasped. "Your hybrid physiology is unstable," Dr. Zylara explained, her fingers dancing over a holographic interface above his chest. "The energy you're producing is unlike anything we've seen before. We're working to stabilize your condition, but—" Her words were cut off as a violent tremor shook the medical bay. Alarms blared, and the lights flickered ominously. "Status report," Dr. Zylara barked into a communicator on her wrist. A gruff voice responded, "We're under attack. Admiral Zorn's forces have engaged us, along with several Terran Purity vessels." Sean's heart raced as he processed the information. The consequences of their actions were unfolding rapidly, and he and Karina were at the center of it all. Dr. Zylara turned to Dr. Reeves, her expression grim. "We need to stabilize them quickly. The energy they're emitting is interfering with our ship's systems. If we can't contain it, we'll be defenseless against Zorn's attack." As if to emphasize her point, another explosion rocked the ship. Sean felt the biostabilization platform beneath him surge with power, struggling to compensate for the spike in his energy output. Through their mental link, Sean sensed Karina's fear and grit. Their shared consciousness expanded, and suddenly they were bombarded with vivid flashes of potential futures. They saw a galaxy at peace, where humans and aliens worked side by side, but they also glimpsed darker possibilities. Worlds ravaged by war, civilizations crumbling under the weight of mistrust and hatred. "Dr. Zylara," Karina called out, her voice strained but clear. "We saw possibilities. The energy we're producing, it's not just destructive, it could be the key to something greater." The Prilorian doctor's eyes widened with interest. "Fascinating. But first, we need to ensure you survive long enough to explore those possibilities." She turned to her team, issuing rapid-fire orders in her native tongue. Sean watched as they began reconfiguring equipment, adapting their alien technology to interface with the unique energy signature he and Karina were emitting. Another violent shake rattled the medical bay. Through the large viewing window, Sean caught a glimpse of the space battle raging outside. Prilorian and human ships danced a deadly ballet against the backdrop of stars, energy weapons lighting up the void. Dr. Xylara's communicator crackled to life again. "This is General Kraz. Doctor, what's the status of our guests?" "Unstable, but we're making progress," Dr. Xylara replied. "General, their energy signature is unlike anything we've encountered. If we can harness it, it might be the key to powering up the experimental shield system." There was a pause before Kraz responded, his voice heavy with the weight of command. "Do what you must, Doctor, but be aware, Zorn's forces are closing in. We don't have much time." As if on cue, the lights in the medical bay dimmed, emergency power kicking in as another blast rocked the ship. Dr. Xylara turned to Sean and Karina, her expression a mix of willpower and concern. "We have a theory," she explained quickly. "The mating technology that initially joined you was incomplete. We believe we can modify it to stabilize your condition and safely channel this energy, but it will permanently alter your genetic structure. You'll become true human Elysian hybrids, the first of your kind." Sean's eyes met Karina's across the space between their platforms. In that moment, their mental link surged, conveying a lifetime of emotion and understanding in the span of a heartbeat. "We'll do it," they said in unison, their voices blending in perfect harmony. Dr. Xylara nodded, her scaled brow furrowing in concentration as she began the delicate process of recalibrating the medical equipment. "Prepare yourselves," she warned. "This won't be pleasant." As the modified mating technology hummed to life, Sean felt a searing pain course through his body. His vision blurred, the medical bay dissolving into a kaleidoscope of color and light. Through it all, he clung to his connection with Karina, their shared strength becoming an anchor in the storm of transformation. Energy crackled around them, arcing between their bodies and the ship's systems. The medical equipment strained to contain and direct the power, alarms blaring as they pushed past their design limits. Just when Sean thought he could endure no more, a sudden calm washed over him. The pain receded, replaced by a sense of completion he had never known before. He blinked, his newly enhanced vision bringing the world into sharp focus. Beside him, Karina sat up, her skin now shimmering with a subtle, otherworldly glow. Their eyes met and Sean gasped as he realized he could sense her thoughts and emotions as clearly as his own. Dr. Xylara approached, her expression a mix of awe and relief. "It worked," she breathed. "Your cellular structure has stabilized and the energy output has normalized." Before they could fully process this information, General Kraz's voice boomed through the ship's communication system. "All hands, brace for impact. Zorn's forces are making their final push." Sean and Karina exchanged a determined look. They had survived their transformation, but the battle for the future of human-alien relations was a long way to go. As the ship shuddered under renewed assault, they prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead, together, as something entirely new in the universe. As the realization of their new existence settled in, the ship's alarms blared with renewed urgency. Sean's enhanced senses immediately picked up on the increased tension in the air. He turned to Karina, their newfound mental link allowing him to sense her readiness without a word spoken. "We need to move," he said, swinging his legs off the biostabilization platform. Dr. Xylara stepped forward, her silver eyes wide with concern. "Wait, we need to run more tests." But Sean was already on his feet, surprised by the strength and stability he felt. Karina joined him, her movements fluid and precise. "There's no time," Karina said, her voice carrying a new resonance that seemed to vibrate through the air. "We can help." As if to punctuate her words, another blast rocked the ship. The medical bay's lights flickered, casting eerie shadows across the alien equipment. General Kraz's voice crackled over the intercom. "All hands to battle stations. Zorn's forces are making their final push." Sean and Karina exchanged a look, their shared consciousness allowing for a rapid, silent conversation. They moved towards the exit in perfect synchronization, their steps leaving faint trails of energy in their wake. Dr. Xylara hurried after them, her scaled fingers dancing over a handheld device. "Your energy signatures, they're interfacing with the ship's systems." As they stepped into the corridor, Sean felt a strange connection forming. The battlecruiser's schematics unfurled in his mind like a three-dimensional map. He could sense the flow of power through the ship's conduits, the strain on the shields as they absorbed enemy fire. Karina grabbed his hand, and suddenly their shared awareness expanded exponentially. The ship's systems opened up to them, a vast network of information and energy waiting to be tapped. "The shields," Karina murmured, her eyes glowing with an inner light. "We can strengthen them." They moved through the ship with purpose, crew members scrambling out of their way. As they approached the bridge, Sean felt a surge of energy building within them. The bridge doors slid open, revealing a scene of controlled chaos. General Kraz stood at the center, barking orders as his officers worked frantically at their stations. Through the view screen, Sean could see the space battle raging. Prylorian ships exchanging fire with Zorn's forces, while human vessels darted between them. Kraz turned as they entered, his eyes widening in surprise. "What are you doing here? You should be in medical—" His words cut off as Sean and Karina raised their joined hands. A pulse of energy shot from their palms, connecting with the ship's main control interface. The lights on the bridge dimmed momentarily, then blazed brighter than before. "Shields at 200% capacity and rising," an officer called out, amazement clear in his voice. Kraz stared at them, his expression a mix of awe and tactical assessment. "Can you maintain this?" Sean nodded, feeling the strain but also the exhilaration of their newfound power. "We can do more than that," he said, his voice overlapping with Karina's in perfect harmony. As Zorn's ships pressed their attack, Sean and Karina became one with the battlecruiser's systems. They directed energy flows, rerouted power to damaged sections, and fine-tuned the weapon systems with inhuman precision. The tide of battle began to turn. Zorn's forces, expecting an easy victory against a wounded ship, found themselves outmatched by the suddenly rejuvenated battlecruiser. Dr. Xylera burst onto the bridge, her medical scanner beeping frantically. "General, their energy output is off the charts. We need to—" Her words were drowned out by a new alarm. A junior officer called out, panic edging his voice. "Sir, long-range sensors are picking up an incoming ship. It's Elysian." The atmosphere on the bridge shifted instantly. The arrival of an Elysian vessel could change the entire dynamic of the conflict. Karina's eyes widened, her mental link with Sean buzzing with recognition. "It's Ambassador Lyra," she said, her voice tinged with a mix of emotions. "My mentor." Kraz's face hardened as he weighed this new development. "Can we establish communication?" Before any of his officers could respond, Sean and Karina spoke in unison. "We can do better than that." Their shared consciousness reached out, bypassing conventional communication channels. In a heartbeat, they connected with the Elysian ship, their hybrid minds bridging the gap between technologies. Through this unprecedented link, they conveyed the full situation to Ambassador Lyra, the conspiracy, their transformation, and the ongoing battle. The Elysian leader's shock and concern washed over them, followed quickly by understanding and drive. As the Elysian ship took up a supportive position, flanking Kraz's battlecruiser, Sean and Karina felt a new surge of power. The combined energies of the Prylorian and Elysian vessels flowed through them, amplifying their abilities. But even as their side gained the upper hand, a new threat emerged. Sean's enhanced senses picked up a dangerous energy buildup from Zorn's flagship. "He's activating some kind of weapon," Sean warned, his voice strained. "Something that could tear us apart." Kraz's eyes narrowed. "The gravity manipulator. It's not fully tested. He could destroy us all." In that moment, Sean and Karina knew what they had to do. They shared a look of dedication, their linked minds already formulating a plan. "We can create an electromagnetic pulse," Karina explained rapidly. "Disable Zorn's fleet without casualties." Dr. Xylera stepped forward, her face pale. "The strain on your systems would be enormous. We don't know if your bodies can handle it." But Sean and Karina had already made their decision. As Kraz barked orders to prepare for their plan, the hybrid couple moved to the center of the bridge. They stood back to back, their hands clasped, forming a circuit of extraordinary power. Energy crackled around them as they interfaced directly with the ship's main power systems. Pain lanced through their bodies, but they pushed through it, their shared strength keeping them focused. As Zorn's gravity manipulator powered up, Threatening to tear apart the fabric of space itself, Sean and Karina unleashed their electromagnetic pulse. A wave of energy erupted from the battlecruiser, expanding rapidly through the battlefield. The pulse washed over Zorn's fleet, overwhelming their systems. Ships began to drift, their power failing. The partially activated gravity manipulator sputtered and died, its threat neutralized. On the bridge of Kraz's ship, Sean and Karina collapsed to the floor, their bodies smoking faintly from the incredible energy they had channeled. As Dr. Zylar and her medical team rushed to their aid, the couple's hands remained tightly clasped, their minds still linked in unconsciousness. The immediate threat had passed, but as General Kraz looked out at the aftermath of the battle, he knew that the real challenges were just beginning. The existence of human Elysian hybrids, the conspiracy they had uncovered, the repercussions would shake the foundations of interstellar relations. As Sean and Karina were carefully moved to a specialized medical bay, their fate uncertain, the leaders of 3 species prepared to navigate the complex aftermath of this unprecedented conflict. The future of human-alien relations hung in the balance, forever changed by the actions of 2 unlikely heroes. The immediate crisis had passed, but the real challenges were just beginning. As Sean and Karina were carefully moved to a specialized medical bay, their hands remained tightly clasped, their minds still linked in unconsciousness. Dr. Zylara's silver eyes narrowed as she studied the readouts on her medical scanner. The hybrid couple's vital signs defied conventional understanding, their brainwaves perfectly synchronized in a pattern she had never seen before. "This is unprecedented," she murmured, her scaled fingers dancing over the controls of the biostabilization pods. Their neural activity suggests a level of connection beyond anything in our records. General Kraz strode into the medical bay, his face etched with concern. "Status report, Doctor." "Stable, for now," Dr. Zylar replied, not looking up from her work. "But their hybrid physiology is evolving. We're working to understand and stabilize it." As if in response to her words, a faint shimmer of energy rippled across Sean and Karina's skin. The nearby medical equipment flickered, its displays temporarily scrambled. Kraz's brow furrowed. "Keep me informed of any changes. We have other pressing matters to attend to." The general turned on his heel, making his way to the battlecruiser's main conference room. Inside, a tense gathering of human, Prilorian, and Elysian representatives sat around a large holographic display. Ambassador Lyra, her luminescent skin casting a soft glow, stood as Kraz entered. "General, we must address the political fallout from these events immediately. The capture of Admiral Zorn and the neutralization of Terran purity have created a power vacuum." Kraz nodded grimly. "Agreed. We need to establish a unified front before opportunists can take advantage of the situation." As the summit began in earnest, Dr. Elena Reeves and her team of scientists pored over the data collected during Sean and Karina's transformation. In a nearby laboratory, holographic displays flickered with complex genetic models and energy readings. "This is incredible," Dr. Reeves breathed, her eyes wide as she manipulated a 3D representation of the hybrid DNA. "The fusion of human and Elysian genetics has unlocked something latent potential in both species." Her colleague, Dr. Vorex, a Prilorian geneticist, leaned in to examine the display. "These energy signatures, they suggest evolutionary advantages we can scarcely comprehend." Their discussion was interrupted by a commotion at the lab's entrance. A striking Elysian woman strode in, her presence commanding immediate attention. "Dr. Lyria," Reeves said, straightening up, "we weren't expecting you until—" "Where is my daughter?" Lyria demanded, her voice tight with hardly restrained emotion. Before Reeves could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. In the specialized medical bay, Sean and Karina's vital signs spiked dramatically. Dr. Zylara and her team rushed to stabilize the couple, their movements frantic yet precise. "Neural activity off the charts," one of her assistants called out. "We're seeing energy fluctuations unlike anything—" The medical equipment surrounding Sean and Karina began to spark and malfunction. Chief Engineer Vox burst into the room, his antennae twitching with agitation. "Doctor, we're detecting massive power fluctuations throughout the ship," he reported. "It's emanating from them." Dr. Xylara's eyes widened as she realized the implications. They're interfacing with the ship's systems. Even in this state, we need to... Her words were cut off as Sean and Karina's eyes snapped open in unison. A burst of energy pulsed from their bodies, overloading nearby systems and plunging the medical bay into darkness. In the conference room, the holographic displays flickered and died. General Kraz was about to demand an explanation when Sean and Karina's voices echoed through the ship's communication systems, speaking in perfect harmony. "We see, we understand. The threat approaches." Ambassador Lyra gasped, recognizing a language she hadn't heard in millennia. "That's ancient Elysian. How is this possible?" Before anyone could respond, Admiral Zorn's voice crackled over the intercom. "General Kraz, you need to hear what I have to say. The fate of our species depends on it." Kraz hesitated, weighing his options. With a curt nod to his security team, he made his way to the brig. Zorn sat in his cell, his once proud bearing now hunched with the weight of his revelations. "We don't have much time," Zorn said as Kraz approached. "The artifact we discovered, it's not just a relic, it's a warning." As Zorn explained the impending threat, Sean and Karina's energy continued to build. In the medical bay, now bathed in the ethereal glow emanating from the couple, Dr. Xylara and her team worked frantically to understand and contain the phenomenon. Dr. Lyria burst into the room, her eyes locking onto her daughter's transformed form. "Karina," she whispered, her voice thick with a mixture of awe and regret. The energy field surrounding Sean and Karina intensified, creating a localized distortion in space-time. Their bodies seemed to flicker in and out of phase with reality, suspended in a state of quantum flux. Ambassador Lyra, having followed Dr. Lyria to the medical bay, stepped forward. "We need to establish contact with them," she said, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. "I propose using our psionic technology to create a temporary mental link." Dr. Xylara looked up sharply. "The risks are necessary," Lyra finished. "We're out of options." As preparations for the psionic link began, the energy surrounding Sean and Karina coalesced into a shimmering field of pure possibility. The fate of multiple species hung in the balance, with the hybrid couple at the center of a cosmic convergence none could have foreseen. Predicted. The energy surrounding Sean and Karina fluctuated wildly, threatening to overwhelm the ship's systems. Ambassador Lyra's voice cut through the chaos. "We need to establish a psionic link. It's our only chance to stabilize them and understand what's happening." Dr. Lyria stepped forward, her eyes fixed on her daughter's shimmering form. "I'll do it. I'll be the primary conduit." Dr. Xylara opened her mouth to protest, but the dedication in Dr. Lyria's eyes silenced her. Instead, she nodded to her team. "Prepare the psionic equipment. We'll convert this section of the medical bay into a makeshift chamber." As Elysian Scions rushed to set up the necessary apparatus, Chief Engineer Vox's voice crackled over the intercom. "We're experiencing massive power fluctuations throughout the ship. I'm implementing emergency protocols to prevent a complete shutdown." The medical bay trembled as the battlecruiser's systems struggled to cope with the energy emanating from Sean and Karina. Dr. Lyria took a deep breath and settled into the hastily prepared psionic interface chair. Electrodes attached to her temples pulsed with a soft blue light. "Beginning the link now," an Elysian Scion announced, activating the equipment. Dr. Lyria's body went rigid as her consciousness reached out to the suspended forms of Sean and Karina. The energy field surrounding the couple pulsated violently, creating ripples of distortion throughout the chamber. Medical equipment sparked and fizzled, forcing Dr. Xylara and her team to work frantically to maintain vital systems. Suddenly, the psionic link stabilized. Dr. Lyria's mind merged with the vast, swirling cosmos of Sean and Karina's shared mindscape. She found herself adrift in a sea of memories and emotions, a perfect fusion of human and Elysian experiences. Within this mental realm, a shimmering entity coalesced before her, an amalgamation of Sean and Karina's features, pulsing with otherworldly energy. It spoke directly into her mind, its voice a harmonious blend of the couple's. "Mother," it said, the word resonating with a mixture of recognition and newfound understanding. "Our transformation has unlocked something extraordinary. As Dr. Lyria communed with this manifestation of Sean and Karina's combined consciousness, the physical world continued to react. The energy field expanded, enveloping nearby equipment. Alarms blared as the phenomenon threatened to spread beyond the medical bay. In the command center, General Kraz watched the situation unfold with growing concern. "Prepare emergency evacuation protocols," he ordered, his voice tense. "If this escalates further, we may need to abandon ship." Meanwhile, in the brig, Admiral Zorn sat up straight as the lights flickered and alarms sounded. A sly smile crept across his face as he realized the chaos might provide an opportunity for escape. Back in the mindscape, the Sean-Karina entity guided Dr. Lyria through a vast repository of knowledge. The artifact, it explained, is of precursor origin, an ancient race that seeded galaxies with the potential for intelligent life. Images flashed through Dr. Lyria's mind. Impossible technologies, the rise and fall of civilizations, and the true history of both humans and Elysians. The implications were staggering. As this information filtered back through the psionic link, the summit delegates received fragmented reports. Heated debates erupted over the potential uses and dangers of precursor technology. Amidst the growing tension, a sudden power surge rocked the ship. In the brig, emergency systems failed, and Admiral Zorn seized his chance. With practiced efficiency, he slipped out of his cell and disappeared into the ship's maintenance tunnels. Alarms blared anew as Zorn's escape was discovered. General Kraz barked orders, mobilizing security teams to search the vessel. But the rogue admiral had a head start and intimate knowledge of starship layouts. In the psionic chamber, Dr. Lyria guided Sean and Karina's consciousness back towards full awareness. The energy field began to contract, but as it did, visible changes rippled across the couple's bodies. Their skin took on an iridescent sheen, and their closed eyes emitted a soft, otherworldly glow. As Sean and Karina stirred, their enhanced minds instantly connected with the battlecruiser's systems. They sat up in unison, their movements perfectly synchronized. "We can help," they said, their voices overlapping in an unsettling harmony. "We can find Zorn." General Kraz, who had rushed to the medical bay, nodded grimly. "Do it! We can't let him escape with knowledge of the artifact's location." Sean and Karina closed their eyes, their consciousness spreading through the ship's computer networks. Within seconds, they spoke again. "He's in the ventilation system, heading for the scout ship hangar." Kraz immediately dispatched teams to intercept Zorn. Sean and Karina's fingers danced over nearby consoles, locking down critical systems to prevent the admiral from stealing a ship. As the hunt for Zorn intensified, Dr. Lyria and Dr. Zalara huddled over readouts from Sean and Karina's transformation. "Their hybrid state," Dr. Lyria murmured, "it might be the key to interfacing with the precursor artifact safely." Dr. Zalara nodded, her silver eyes wide with the implications. "If that's true, they may be our best hope of understanding and controlling this technology." The realization spread quickly among the delegates and crew. Suddenly, Sean and Karina were no longer just victims of an unexplained phenomenon. They were a potential asset of incalculable value. As security teams closed in on Admiral Zorn's position, Sean and Karina continued to scan the ship with their enhanced senses. The fate of multiple civilizations hung in the balance, with the escaped admiral, the mysterious artifact, and the newly transformed couple at the center of a cosmic convergence that threatened to reshape the galaxy. The hunt for Zorn raced towards its climax, even as the summit delegates grappled with the monumental implications of precursor technology. And through it all, Sean and Karina stood at the threshold of a new era, their hybrid forms a bridge between worlds and a key to unlocking the secrets of the universe. Universe itself. The battlecruiser's corridors pulsed with urgency as the hunt for Admiral Zorn intensified. Sean and Karina, their bodies still shimmering with otherworldly energy, found themselves at the center of the pursuit. Their newfound connection to the ship's systems allowed them to track Zorn's movements with uncanny precision. "He's in Maintenance Shaft 3B, Sean announced, his voice overlapping with Karina's in an eerie harmony. Their eyes, now glowing with an inner light, darted back and forth as they processed information at superhuman speeds. General Kraz's voice crackled over the intercom. "All teams, converge on that location. Do not let him reach the hangars. As security forces scrambled to intercept the fugitive admiral, Sean and Karina felt their bodies changing further. Muscles tightened and reflexes sharpened, granting them enhanced strength and agility. They moved through the ship with fluid grace, always one step ahead of Zorn. In the command center, General Kraz coordinated the pursuit, relying heavily on the couple's unique link to the vessel. Seal off sections 12 through 15, he ordered, his eyes fixed on the holographic display of the ship's layout. Force him towards the secondary hangar. The chase led them through a maze of corridors and maintenance shafts. Zorn, desperate and cornered, left a trail of sabotage systems in his wake. But for every obstacle he created, Sean and Karina found a way around it, their hybrid minds interfacing seamlessly with the ship's AI. As they approached the secondary hangar, Sean and Karina's enhanced senses picked up Zorn's frantic attempts to override the bay's security protocols. He's trying to steal a scout ship, Karina reported, her fingers dancing over a nearby console to lock down the hangar's systems. The couple burst into the hangar bay just as Zorn was attempting to board a sleek, single-pilot craft. Their sudden appearance startled the admiral, causing him to stumble back from the ship's entry ramp. "It's over, Zorn," Sean called out, his voice resonating with an otherworldly timbre. "Surrender yourself." Zorn's eyes darted between the transformed couple and the sealed hangar doors. His hand moved to a concealed pocket in his uniform, withdrawing a small cylindrical device. "Stay back," he snarled, brandishing the object like a weapon. "One step closer, and I'll use this." Sean and Karina hesitated, their heightened senses detecting an energy signature emanating from the device. Before they could react, Zorn activated it, sending a focused beam of energy towards them. The effect was immediate and excruciating. Sean and Karina felt their hybrid physiology begin to destabilize, the carefully balanced fusion of human and Elysian DNA threatening to unravel. They staggered back, their luminescent skin flickering like a faulty hologram. "What have you done?" Karina gasped, her voice losing its harmonic quality as she struggled to maintain her form. Zorn's lips curled into a cruel smile. "Insurance policy. This device can reverse your transformation, or kill you if I choose to amplify its effects." The hangar doors burst open, admitting Lieutenant Vex and a squad of security personnel. They froze at the sight of Sean and Karina's deteriorating condition, weapons trained uncertainly on Zorn. "Nobody move!" Zorn shouted, his finger hovering over the device's controls. "I want safe passage off this ship, or your precious hybrids won't survive the next few minutes." General Kraz's voice filled the hangar, tense but measured. "Let's not be hasty, Admiral. Perhaps we can reach an agreement." As negotiations began, Sean and Karina fought to stabilize their bodies. The pain was intense, but through it, they maintained their mental link with the ship, and with Dr. Lyria, still connected through the lingering psionic bond. In the medical bay, Dr. Lyria's eyes snapped open. "I can help them," she announced to Dr. Xylera, "guide them in counteracting the device's effects." Through their shared consciousness, Dr. Lyria began to instruct Sean and Karina. She drew upon her deep knowledge of Elysian biology, helping them manipulate the very structure of their hybrid cells. As Zorn ranted his demands, growing more erratic by the second, Sean and Karina focused inward. Gradually, the flickering of their forms subsided. Strength returned to their limbs, and the pain began to ebb. Zorn, caught up in his tirade, failed to notice the change. It wasn't until Sean stepped forward, his movements smooth and assured, that the Admiral realized something was wrong. "That's impossible," Zorn breathed, his eyes widening in disbelief. In a blur of motion, Sean closed the distance between them. His hand shot out, plucking the device from Zorn's grasp before the Admiral could react. Karina was right behind him, her enhanced reflexes allowing her to disarm Zorn with a precisely executed maneuver. Lieutenant Vex and his team swarmed forward, securing the now defenseless Admiral. As Zorn was led away in restraints, the full impact of recent events began to sink in for all present. Sean and Karina stood in the center of the hangar, their bodies still humming with energy. The ordeal had pushed their transformation even further. Their skin now possessed a subtle bioluminescent quality, and their eyes held depths of knowledge that seemed to transcend human understanding. As the immediate crisis subsided, new challenges loomed on the horizon. The summit delegates would need to grapple with the implications of recent events, from the existence of the precursor artifact to the potential of human Elysian hybridization. And at the center of it all stood Sean and Karina. Their evolving forms a bridge between worlds and a key to unlocking the secrets of the universe. The battlecruiser hummed with renewed purpose as it set a course for the coordinates provided by the captured Admiral Zorn. In the specialized quarantine chamber, Sean and Karina prepared for the next phase of their journey, one that would take them to the heart of an ancient mystery and perhaps change the fate of galaxies. The battlecruiser hummed with renewed purpose as it set a course for the coordinates provided by the captured Admiral Zorn. In the specialized quarantine chamber, Sean and Karina underwent their final stages of transformation, their bodies adjusting to the unique blend of human and Elysian physiology. As the ship approached its destination, the quarantine chamber's doors slid open with a soft hiss. Sean and Karina emerged, their appearance now a harmonious fusion of both species. Their skin shimmered with an iridescent sheen, and their eyes pulsed with an inner light that seemed to hold the secrets of the universe. The couple moved through the corridors with fluid grace, their enhanced senses allowing them to process their surroundings with incredible clarity. Crew members stopped and stared, a mixture of awe and curiosity on their faces as Sean and Karina passed by. They made their way to the bridge, where General Kraz stood before the main view screen, his posture tense with anticipation. As the hybrid couple entered, Kraz turned to face them, his expression softening slightly. "How are you feeling?" he asked, his gruff voice tinged with concern. Sean and Karina exchanged a glance, their mental link allowing for silent communication. "We're stable," they replied in unison, their voices overlapping in an otherworldly harmony, "and ready for what lies ahead." Kraz nodded, gesturing towards the view screen. "We're approaching the coordinates now. Prepare yourselves." The view screen flickered to life, revealing a sight that took the breath away from everyone on the bridge. A massive space station of alien design hung in the void, orbiting a pulsating neutron star. Its architecture defied conventional understanding, with impossible angles and materials that seemed to shift and change as they watched. "By the stars!" breathed Lieutenant Vex, his silver eyes wide with wonder. As the battlecruiser drew closer, the station emitted a pulsing energy field that washed over the ship. Alarms blared as systems began to malfunction, screens flickering and controls becoming unresponsive. Without hesitation, Sean and Karina stepped forward, their hands moving in perfect synchronization over the ship's interface. Their hybrid physiology allowed them to connect with the vessel's systems on a deeper level, bypassing the interference. "We can guide us through," Sean said, his voice steady despite the strain evident on his face. Karina nodded, her fingers dancing across the controls. "The station's defenses are complex, but we can navigate them." General Kraz watched in amazement as the hybrid couple worked in tandem, their movements fluid and precise. On the screen, a series of shimmering energy barriers became visible, forming a labyrinth around the station. With Sean and Karina at the helm, the battlecruiser wove through the barriers, each one parting just enough to allow passage before sealing shut behind them. As they approached the final barrier, a docking port materialized, as if summoned by their presence. "Incredible," murmured Dr. Elena Reeves, who had joined them on the bridge. "It's as if the station is responding to you specifically." Sean and Karina turned to face the assembled crew, their eyes glowing with an inner fire. "We believe it is," Karina said. "This technology, it feels familiar somehow." "Like it was made for us," Sean added, his voice filled with wonder. General Kraz straightened his uniform, his expression resolute. "Well then, let's not keep our hosts waiting. Prepare the mission team for boarding." As the crew bustled with activity, Sean and Karina stood hand in hand, gazing out at the alien structure that awaited them. They could feel the pull of the station, a silent call that resonated with their very beings. Whatever lay within those impossible walls, they knew it would change everything. The mission team assembled in the airlock, a mix of anticipation and trepidation on their faces. General Kraz led the group, flanked by Ambassador Lyra and Dr. Reeves. Sean and Karina took point, their hybrid senses alert for any potential dangers. As the airlock cycled and the doors slid open, they stepped into the unknown, ready to uncover the secrets that had brought them across the stars. The interior of the station stretched before them, a vast expanse of alien technology and pulsing energy fields. Sean and Karina's skin tingled as they made contact with the station's atmosphere, their hybrid physiology adapting to the new environment. "This way," they said in unison, their instincts guiding them deeper into the heart of the precursor facility. As they moved forward, holographic interfaces sprang to life around them, responding to the unique energy signature of the hybrid couple. Sean and Karina approached the nearest interface, their hands hovering over the shimmering display. Symbols and glyphs danced across the surface, shifting and rearranging themselves as if alive. "We can read this," Sean said, his voice filled with awe. It's a language older than time itself." Karina nodded, her eyes moving rapidly as she processed the information. "It's telling us about the precursors, about their mission to seed life throughout the galaxy." As Sean and Karina translated the alien language, unlocking access to deeper levels of the station, the rest of the team followed in stunned silence. They passed through vast chambers filled with technology beyond their comprehension, each room revealing new wonders and adding to the growing realization of just how ancient and advanced the precursors truly were. Dr. Reeves furiously took notes, her scientific mind racing to keep up with the revelations. Ambassador Lyra's diplomatic training was put to the test as she considered the implications of this discovery for interstellar relations. General Kraz, ever vigilant, kept a watchful eye on their surroundings. Despite the wonders around them, he couldn't shake the feeling that they were being observed, guided towards some predetermined destination. As they ventured deeper into the station's core, the energy in the air grew more palpable. Sean and Karina's skin began to glow faintly, resonating with the power that pulsed through the very walls of the structure. Suddenly, they emerged into a vast chamber that took their breath away. In the center, suspended in a field of shimmering energy, floated a massive crystalline structure. It pulsed with a rhythm that seemed to match the beating of their hearts. "The artifact," General Kraz breathed, his usual stoic demeanor cracking in the face of such marvel. Sean and Karina stepped forward, drawn by an irresistible pull. As they approached the crystal, its pulsing intensified, and dormant systems throughout the station began to hum to life. The air around them shimmered, and holographic projections sprang into existence, filling the chamber with ghostly images of long-extinct beings and distant worlds. The crystal resonated with Sean and Karina's hybrid energy, recognizing in them the culmination of eons of planning and evolution. A voice, ancient and powerful, filled their minds. "Welcome, children of two worlds," it said, its tone both welcoming and filled with anticipation. "You stand at the threshold of a new era for all life in the galaxy." Sean and Karina looked at each other, their eyes wide with the weight of the moment. They could feel the power of the artifact coursing through them, offering knowledge and potential beyond imagination. As the voice continued to speak, revealing the true purpose of the precursor's grand design, they knew that the choice they were about to make would shape the future of not just humanity in the Elysians, but every sentient species in the cosmos. The fate of galaxies hung in the balance as Sean and Karina, hand in hand, prepared to embrace their destiny and unlock the secrets of the universe.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.